Welcome to the iRogya Wellness Podcast, your quick guide to a healthier life. In each episode, we'll explore practical tips and insights to help you on your journey to optimal health and well-being. Let's dive in.
It's fantastic to have you joining us again for another deep dive. Look, getting started on weight loss, it's a big step, right? And trying to figure out which tools, which advice actually works for you. Honestly, it can feel like wading through mud sometimes. So much noise out there. So today, we're zeroing in. We're really going to unpack one specific option, LIMU LEAN BURN. We'll be working through the sources you sent over. The mission here is to understand this drink, sure, but more importantly, to see how the material you provided presents it compared to other weight loss drinks you might be considering. How does it stack up?
Absolutely. And finding things that are, natural and genuinely supportive is, well, it's tough in today's market, isn't it? It's not just about losing weight. It's about doing it in a healthy way. So understanding the approach behind a product, what it's actually trying to do, that's key. This deep dive, using your sources, should really help clarify where this particular drink fits in the whole landscape of options available right now. Give you a clearer perspective.
Okay, great. So before we jump into the head-to-head comparison, let's quickly touch on the basics, just based on what your sources say. A little context on the science, how LIMU LEAN BURN is sort of positioned. We've talked before about metabolism, fat burning. These are recurring themes in weight management, obviously.
Right. And your sources reiterate that core principle, weight loss fundamentally happens when you burn more calories than you take in. Simple concept, hard to execute sometimes. This creates that calorie deficit. Your body then needs energy, so it starts converting stored fat. Metabolism. Well, that's the engine driving all of this. It's the whole complex process of turning food and fat into energy. The sources really stress that a healthy metabolism is vital, not just for general health, but specifically for managing weight effectively. It dictates how fast you burn those calories.
Got it. And LIMU LEAN BURN, according to the material you shared, is designed to sort of nudge that process along, to enhance the body's natural fat-burning ability. It's not positioned as a magic bullet, more like a support tool. The sources say it aims for healthy weight loss by doing a few things at once. Boosting metabolism, yes, but also helping with appetite, enhancing energy, improving digestion, and even supporting muscle. It sounds like a multi-pronged approach.
That's exactly how it's presented, a combination of actions working together. And the sources list the key natural ingredients supposedly behind this. We've got L-Theanine, green tea extract, those are pretty well known. Then natural caffeine, CLA, that conjugated linoleic acid. And interestingly, a specific seaweed blend, bladderwrack and wakame, plus hydrolyzed collagen. These are presented as the core team working synergistically.
Right, and we could probably spend hours on each of those. But like you said, the real mission for this deep dive, based on the info you provided, isn't just listing ingredients. It's about that comparison. How does this drink, according to these sources, measure up against other weight loss drinks out there? That seems to be the crux of it.
Okay, so this is where, according to your sources, things get really interesting. They don't just talk about LIMU LEAN BURN on its own. No, they put it side by side with other typical weight loss drinks. Let's really dive into what the material you shared highlights as the main differences. What makes it stand out?
And that's a really practical question, isn't it? I mean, you walk down the aisle or scroll online, and there are just dozens, maybe hundreds of options. How do you even begin to compare? Your sources try to give a framework for that, pointing out specific areas of contrast.
First up, and maybe most obviously, is the ingredients list itself. We just mentioned the key ones for LIMU LEAN, burn the seaweed, green tea, CLA, natural caffeine, L-Theanine, collagen. The sources consistently use words like natural, clean, plant-based when describing these. There's a definite emphasis there.
And then, in contrast, the sources point out that other drinks, well, their ingredient list can be quite different. Sometimes, according to the material, they include things positioned as less ideal. Things like artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose are mentioned. Some research, though debated, suggests these might mess with metabolism or keep you craving sweet things. High levels of synthetic stimulants, too. The sources suggest these can lead to those jitters, the anxiety that crash later on. And they also mention questionable or unverified ingredients, stuff without a lot of solid science behind it, maybe. So the implication in your sources is pretty clear. Even if some other drinks also contain, say, green tea, the other stuff in there, the artificial elements, the harsh stimulants might actually work against your goals or just make the experience unpleasant. The clean ingredients angle for LIMU LEAN BURN is presented as a really deliberate choice in this comparison.
That makes sense. And that focus on clean ingredients, it seems directly tied to the next big comparison point your sources raise. The sort of overall health focus, the philosophy behind the drink. Your material presents LIMU LEAN BURN as aiming for two things. Helping with fat burning, sure, but also contributing to general wellness, like a more holistic view.
Exactly. And the contrast drawn in your sources is that other drinks might be very narrowly focused. Maybe they're all about cranking up metabolism, potentially using those harsher stimulants we mentioned, or maybe they're purely about suppressing appetite, perhaps with artificial fillers or just high fiber. The sources suggest the approach can be different. Some might prioritize hitting that one specific target, even if the ingredients used aren't necessarily aligned with an all-natural or whole-body wellness philosophy. Your sources frame the LIMU LEAN BURN approach as intentionally using those natural components to support broader health while also aiding weight loss. It's presented as a package deal, sort of.
Right, not just zeroing in on one mechanism at the expense of others, perhaps. Okay, so beyond what's in it and the philosophy, what about the actual results or benefits claimed? Your sources compare those two. LIMU LEAN BURN, based on your material, is described as offering a whole suite of benefits. Boosting metabolism, controlling cravings, enhancing energy, improving digestion, supporting muscle. It's quite a list.
And this comes back to that specific combination of ingredients, according to your sources. The green tea, CLA, seaweed, L-Theanine, collagen, they're presented as working together to achieve this wider range of effects. The comparison suggests that other drinks often have a narrower focus. Maybe one drink is just about metabolism, relying heavily on caffeine perhaps. Another might be just about feeling full. Or some might be more like a protein shake or a vitamin drink, different category, really. Your sources highlight LIMU LEAN BURN's claimed multifaceted nature. It's not just metabolism or appetite. It's supposedly metabolism and appetite and energy, importantly. Energy without jitters, thanks to that L-Theanine balancing the caffeine, which the sources mention specifically. And digestion support and muscle support. It's described consistently as a comprehensive approach in your materials, offering benefits beyond weight loss itself.
Okay, that's a clear distinction being made. Ingredients, philosophy, comprehensive benefits. But then your sources bring up something, well, maybe more subjective, but they frame it as really important, taste and texture.
It's fascinating, isn't it? You might think taste is secondary, but your sources give it significant weight. They argue it directly impacts whether you'll actually use the product consistently. LIMU LEAN BURN is described pretty positively. A refreshing tropical flavor, smooth texture, easy to mix, no clumps, maybe even a slight fizz. Pleasant, basically.
Whereas, and yeah, the descriptions for the others sound pretty grim. Your sources talk about artificial tastes, unpleasant aftertastes, like chemical leaky. And the texture descriptions, grainy, chalky, even comparing it to drinking sand or dirt. Yikes. I mean, who wants to drink sand every day?
Nobody. And that's precisely the point your sources hammer home. If it's unpleasant, you're just not going to stick with it. Doesn't matter how great the ingredients are supposed to be if you can't stomach drinking it day after day. Consistency, as we know, is everything in weight loss. So your sources argue that LIMU LEAN BURN's enjoyable taste and smooth texture aren't just nice perks. They're presented as key enablers of that consistency, making it easier to integrate into your routine, which in turn makes achieving your goals more likely. It's a very practical point, but framed as crucial.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together from your sources, the natural ingredients emphasis, the holistic health angle, the broad range of benefits, and this focus on a pleasant experience, what's the overall picture being painted for someone like you navigating this journey? Seeing your sources position LIMU LEAN BURN as, well, distinct. They argue it stands apart by tackling multiple aspects of weight management naturally, offering more than just basic fat burning, and crucially, being something you might actually look forward to drinking, removing that adherence barrier. So let's bridge that gap now. We've seen how your sources compare it. Let's talk about how these specific features are supposed to translate into actually helping you achieve your weight loss goals. How does it all connect?
Right. Let's connect the dots. The primary mechanism, according to your sources, is that metabolic boost. They point to the green tea extract, the natural caffeine, the CLA, and potentially the seaweed blend. The idea is by increasing your metabolic rate, it helps your body burn more calories naturally throughout the day, even when you're resting. This directly contributes to creating or widening that calorie deficit needed to tap into fat stores. That's the foundational piece for weight loss.
And then there's the appetite control. Your sources really emphasize this, linking it to the green tea and L-Theanine again. They frame managing hunger and cravings as maybe the toughest part for many people trying to eat less. It's a constant battle, right?
Yeah.
So if this drink helps curb those urges, makes you feel a bit fuller or less prone to snacking, well, that makes sticking to a calorie goal much, much easier without feeling miserable. That's huge for sustainability.
Absolutely huge. Then there's the energy aspect. Your sources make a big deal about this not being just a jittery caffeine rush. They highlight the combination of natural caffeine with L-Theanine, suggesting it provides a smoother, more sustained energy lift. No jitters, no crash later. And think about what that clean energy enables you to do. Maybe you feel more up for a workout. Maybe you take the stairs instead of the elevator. Maybe you just fidget more. All those little bits of increased activity add up, burning more calories and further contributing to that deficit. The sources argue this energy is functional, usable energy.
Okay, metabolism, appetite, energy. What about digestion? Your sources mentioned that too. How does that fit into weight loss?
It's maybe a bit more indirect, but still important according to the material. They mention things like polyphenols in green tea acting as prebiotics food for your good gut bacteria. And fucoxanthin from the seaweed potentially supporting liver function, which is key for processing fats. Better digestion can mean better nutrient absorption, less bloating, feeling lighter, just generally feeling better in your body. And we're learning more and more about the gut health connection to overall wellness, inflammation, even mood and energy levels. So supporting digestion, the sources suggest, creates a healthier internal environment, which supports the weight loss process.
That makes sense. It's about overall system efficiency, maybe. And the last piece was muscle support with the collagen. Why is that included?
That's a really smart inclusion, according to the sources, especially for long-term success. Muscle tissue burns more calories at rest than fat tissue does. It's metabolically active. So by helping to preserve or even build lean muscle mass while you're losing fat, which collagen peptides are suggested to support, you're essentially keeping your metabolic engine running higher. Your sources also touch on muscle improving insulin sensitivity. Better insulin function helps regulate blood sugar and makes it harder for your body to store excess fat. So supporting muscle isn't just about looking toned, it's about building a body that's better at managing weight long term.
Wow, okay. So when you put it all together like that, boosting metabolism, curbing appetite, providing clean energy, supporting digestion, and helping muscle, you can see the picture your sources are painting. It's this synergy, this combination of effects from those specific natural ingredients that they argue makes LIMU LEAN BURN a potentially powerful tool. And that comprehensive approach grounded in that clean philosophy is really how they differentiate it from other options that might just hit one or two of those points or use different kinds of ingredients. It definitely sounds like a thorough approach based on your sources. But, and this is important, they're also really clear that this isn't magic, right?
Oh, absolutely not. That's a consistent message across all the material you shared. LIMU LEAN BURN is consistently described as an aid, a tool, a supplement. It's meant to support your efforts, not replace them. The sources are really unambiguous. You get the best, most sustainable results when you use it alongside the fundamentals. That means a healthy diet, managing your calories, making good food choices, and regular exercise. Those pillars are non-negotiable, according to these sources. The drink is designed to enhance those efforts.
And they give some practical tips too, don't they? Like setting realistic goals. They mention aiming for maybe 1-2 pounds a week, which is generally considered a healthy rate. And they keep coming back to consistency. Using the drink regularly as directed, just like you need to be consistent with your diet and workouts. Makes sense.
Perfect sense. And, crucially, your sources also address safety and suitability. They present it as generally safe for healthy adults when used correctly, but they do point out the natural caffeine in green tea. So if you're sensitive to stimulants, that's something to be aware of. And they give that standard, but absolutely essential advice. Talk to your doctor. Before starting any new supplement, especially this one if you have health conditions, are pregnant, or nursing, or take medications, it's not just a disclaimer, it's about making sure it's the right fit for your specific health situation. Personalized safety first.
Okay, so we've really taken a comprehensive deep dive into the sources you provided us. We've looked at LIMU LEAN BURN not in a vacuum, but specifically through the lens of how it's compared to other weight loss drinks.
Yeah.
We focus on those key differentiators highlighted in your material, the ingredients and the clean philosophy, the broad spectrum of claimed benefits, that surprising emphasis on taste and texture, and the overall health focus.
Yeah. The picture painted by your sources is definitely one of a drink aiming for a multi-pronged natural strategy to support weight loss. They build a case for how it stands apart from other options by trying to address multiple challenges simultaneously: metabolism, appetite, energy, digestion, muscle, using that specific blend of natural components.
So what's the big takeaway here for you as you're figuring out your own path? It really seems the message from your sources is about informed choice. Understanding these differences, the how and why behind a product, its ingredient choices, the range of effects, even its usability can empower you. It helps you evaluate potential tools and decide what might genuinely complement your efforts, working with your diet and exercise plan, not against it.
And reflecting on all this based on your sources, it brings up a final, really important thought for you to consider moving forward. We know consistency is king for lasting results. Consistency with diet, with exercise, with any supportive tool you use. So the question becomes, how might the specific details of an aid like this, its ingredients, the benefits it offers, maybe even just how pleasant or unpleasant it is to use every single day, realistically influence your ability to stay consistent and committed, not just for a week or two, but for the long haul towards your broader health goals?
Thanks for tuning in to the iRogaia Wellness Podcast. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. If you're curious about the products we mentioned today, you can find them all at irogaia.com. That's AIROGYA.com. And hey, use the code iRogaia15 at checkout for a 15% off discount. Please note that the code is not applicable for Europe, some parts of the Middle East, and South Africa. Until next time, keep taking those steps towards a healthier you.